You like us?
We're on, thank you. Welcome to the Budget Committee meeting on November 18th. Presently, we do not have a quorum, so the committee will not be taking any votes until a quorum has established itself. But we are going to listen to information because people have already been scheduled. First on the group is Youth Assistance Program. Would you sign in, please?
Of course.
It's like, I feel like, what's my line?
Yeah.
Maybe we can win something.
Yeah.
You can give up your day job and become my new director, sir.
Reason for attendance, YAP.
We will
I
have-
stalked you. I'm sorry. I just wanted to introduce myself. I stalked her up the stairs.
Yeah, we
Out of the
do that.
cars. I hit her at the
It's
pass.
Christine.
Nice to meet you. I'm Dawn.
You too.
Christine, I'm Scott Hilliard.
Hi, Scott.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
So,
There you go.
shall I begin?
Not yet. Okay.
All right.
We will pass on any information you have to the other members of the committee, so the determination will be made when we're all present to take a vote. So I'd like to start by introducing ourselves, which is okay, Dawn always does that.
I'm sorry.
Dawn, why don't you start off?
I'm Dawn Schimberg. I am the director of the Youth Assistance Program and have been for many years. Scott Hilliard, Sheriff Hilliard, is the chairperson, the chairman of our board of directors, and has been for many years. So,
You can tell by my hair color.
and so I asked
As you know, I'm Christine.
My name is Wayne Brock. I will be recusing myself from any votes because I sit on the board of directors.
Kudos to you. Nice. That's a plush job, huh? Pat Constantino, Selectman.
Now, Dawn, the show is yours.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I did bring brochures, which I can leave with you. That way, if there's people who are unfamiliar with the program, they can at least look through the brochure and, we'll know what we've said here tonight. So the Youth Assistance Program has been in existence since 1975. We started out as juvenile court diversion, and many years ago added a stronger prevention component. So we are jointly funded by Tilton and Northfield. Our office, have you ever seen it? It's on Main Street, and we're right between Gabriel's Hair Salon and the bookstore. We don't have a sign that juts out, but we do have a sign on the window, so we are easy to find, yet we're not right in everybody's face. It's a convenient spot. We like it. We primarily work with middle and high school students. This year, a lot of my caseload is youth at risk. We work with first-time offenders as well, and I do have a couple of kids who've been ordered by the court. So that's it in a nutshell. We also work with parents, and most of the programs we run, there are no additional fees because it is already paid through taxes. We usually, the only program that we really take out-of-town referrals, we do and that's the only one we are currently charging a $50 fee for if a youth has been involved in an offense. If they're taking it because they're having family issues, or they're taking it to learn more, then there's no fee. That was quick. Are there any questions?
Scott, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I'd just like to add, as the board members know, we also, this began many years ago with Dick Smart, who has the chapel is named after his brother, isn't that right? But Dick was a longtime community activist here, and referrals started originally by the police so the kids wouldn't get criminal records for nonviolent juvenile offenses. And as the board has heard me say in the past, as a police officer of 35 years, the cost of taking a kid to the juvenile court is significantly higher. So if we can catch them, try to rehabilitate them to some degree, help them out, assist the families with social programs or educational programs. It's been fantastic. It's worked. I was the police chief for 12 years in Northfield, and I've sat on the board for I think 22 years now, I think,
Should
something
I
like
have
that.
put your watch in there?
Yeah. Well, my headstone. So, but anyway, I know that we've spoken in the past, but as the chairman of the board, we have a fantastic board of directors that caring community members involving the community themselves, Tilton and Northfield, and we have a great working relationship with the police and the school, which are probably the most two important entities that youth will be involved in, so.
And now the senior center.
And the senior center, correct?
Yes,
That's
we
right.
have a very
Right,
nice
absolutely.
relationship with the senior
That is a great
Yep.
relationship, by the
And
way.
your budget is split half between Tilton and Northfield.
It is, I'm wondering how this will work out, but we have it based on the ratio of the school,
right.
past ratio,
Right.
and then when Sanborntown stepped out of the program and no longer funded it, we took their share and split that in half.
Right.
So it is a formula that's kind of based loosely on the school population.
Right,
So Tilton's .42 and Northfield's .57.
that's correct.
Right.
Yep.
I was going to ask you about that.
Okay. Ready for questions? Pat, any questions? Pat is representing both the Budget Committee as the alternate ex officio and the Select Board.
Are you going out for any more grants other than, I see that you only have one from 3M? Is that typically the only one you get, or do you go for others?
We have, the previous year, we used some of our Franklin Savings Bank grant that we got the year before, like it kind of staggered over. Got it. So we do occasionally have been able to have a grant from Franklin Savings Bank, which has been helpful as well.
And in your budget now, it looks like the increases are health insurance and rent?
Correct.
Yes, and salary.
A slight one in salary. That's really not, that's negligible compared to, it's $1,000. It's $100 a month, less than.
And just, I know you're aware, Pat, Dawn is, with the exception of what we get for interns, Dawn is the only employee.
Employee, right.
And she does a fantastic job, and the board voted to give her a slight increase this year.
It turned out to be a 2% raise.
Two.
2.
I would have voted more, but that's right. I think she does an exceptional
We
job.
left that open, but she was very good about it.
Very-
She received a raise last year,
I believe, yes, it was 2.5 maybe?
2.5
Yeah.
and
It was
2.
right in that ballpark.
But there was a time that you were not getting raises, so we're trying to catch her up at this point.
What's a challenge fee?
The challenge fee is a $50 fee for young people living in Tilton or Northfield who've committed an alcohol or drug offense, and therefore are required to take the course as part of their diversion or part of
So they
their
pay for it.
court. So the program itself is much more expensive. So being from this area, they get a huge reduction. I think it was over $350 in Laconia to take the course. Now, if a youth came from some other area to take the course here, they would pay a much higher fee. But I think the thought is that they need to pay something. Now, in the event that they can't afford it, then we would have them pay it off in community service.
Yep. The county of Merrimack gets juvenile diversion. I'm not sure it's 350, but it's around it, right around 300. And adult diversion is now, I think, up to 375, so.
You may be able to answer this one. The county diversion program is very different from what you're doing now. This past year, haven't they changed their program a little bit, their diversion program?
I'm not sure, Pat, that, are you referring to Belknap County or Merrimack?
Belknap.
I'm not sure. I recall hearing something. In Merrimack, the only thing that they changed was they added some educational component over and above what they already have. But they still, for juveniles, for adults, they still hold them in lieu of arrest, they still hold the charge over their head, so.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I did hear something about it, but I'm not sure if it,
So there's still a significant difference in your program and their program. It doesn't, I know in the past, people have thought that it was overlapping and that we were paying county and we were paying you.
One of the biggest differences is that we work with kids pre-offense here in this area.
Yep.
And we also would take a kid that has committed an offense that wasn't necessarily prosecutable
Right.
and work with them through various programs. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. I know, too, that sometimes, you know how a young person will do something, they'll commit an offense, and they'll kind of be on a roll. Okay, so like maybe they'll commit an offense, and then by the time they get referred to your program and you start to set up a meeting, they've done something more. And ordinarily, where we haven't done the intervention yet, we would take them, so long as they were both minor offenses, we would take them and put them together, and then do the intervention. Where I know in the Belknap County program, that one youth was referred and then was sent back because there was a second offense that happened in
Yeah.
just a short period.
I think that's it for questions. I mean,
Okay.
there's not much to say about what they do. It's fantastic.
Christine?
So since there's only one employee, is there a lot of volunteers that assist?
We have a wonderful volunteer board of directors. We also have volunteers, some of which sit on the board of directors, but some who are volunteers who sit on our juvenile review board. And so I have like a pool, so if I have a review board, I can call people and they will come and serve as representative of the community. Usually I have three would be a nice number, sometimes two, sometimes four. And so when the young person has committed offense, they come in and they talk to representatives of the community with their parent. I'm the home visit and the intake. So, and then the review board helps to develop the contract of accountability.
Okay, do they stay with that one person? Or do they see a variety every time they come in with one person?
They will, the youth will then work with me.
Oh, okay.
So the volunteers sit and represent the community at that board, at that juvenile review board meeting. We also have volunteers who do other things. I mean, that sounds very vague, but I mean, if they want to get involved and help with like tutoring, I can set something up like that. I mean, so we use the interests of our volunteers, or if they, some people come to the program to help out because maybe they have had something in their life happen, a loss, or made a poor choice when they were growing up. Sometimes they'll share that in small groups with kids, which can be very meaningful. I will also have, right now I have a Plymouth University intern who is just doing 30 hours, but she's been very helpful. Come January, I will have another 450-hour intern who is a senior in the social work department. So that's awesome because that's
volunteers.
practically full-time, and I have her office already, and I'm ready for her to move in.
You're fine.
because that takes a lot off Dawn,
That's
some
what
of
I
the
was
office
saying,
stuff
she can
and the
do it by
phones.
herself.
Yeah, it's like juggling, 4 balls in the air
Not get the
one time,
services,
so.
yeah.
Eric, we knew that you would.
And the increase from year to year is just usually based on your projected budget, which the salary and the rent and everything going up?
Yes, there was one, and I can't believe I forgot to mention this. The projected health insurance
Yes, that's
cost
right.
was gotten from school care, and they suggested that we put in for a certain amount. And have since got final figures that were lower. So that,
Nice.
I believe, let me just double check, would lower our request to Tilton by $210.
Yep.
So our request would now be $44,357. So it's a little lower because those figures have been solidified.
210, you said?
Yeah, the reduction would be 210, and that brings the total to $44,357.
And that was less than last year.
No,
No,
it's still
no,
high
that's right.
because of the health insurance.
That's right, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, last year was 42,049.
Right.
It looks like the liability
Why?
insurance is much higher too. you got 3,400 for projected, and unless your year end is enough.
And it's just, that's when the big insurance bill comes in December.
December's year end.
I'd like to recognize two members that have come in, Jane Alden and Aaron Pyra, for the community. Jane, do you have any questions?
No, actually, I think I'm pretty well informed about what they do.
Yeah.
I see enough of
There's-
Dawn and her crew at the senior center.
Right, I was just going to say, there's that senior center health.
Yeah.
That's been a great relationship.
That is a tremendous
Dawn
relationship.
was telling me about this young lady that was working up there, who wants to...
That wants to keep working.
Yeah, she
we
doesn't,
she does.
she doesn't have any more
I
obligations.
heard that today at our executive
We heard
meeting,
that today.
Yeah, yeah.
and the seniors absolutely adore them. They adore them. It's a great relationship.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Do you have a pen?
Yep.
Apparently I don't have one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Poor guy.
Specific
Sorry, I was
questions?
late.
Settled, right?
I did spit the land speed record on the other side.
I'll close my ears.
He mutters well.
Yeah, yeah.
But we continue on, muttering it all.
That's it for me.
Pat and I decided today we should clone ourselves. We've had so many meetings.
Meetings today, yeah.
That was downstairs when I came in there, and she's coming up here.
Well, I got a call
We all
to
had
be
3
down there, and
meetings,
then I had the school budget, so
and their selectmen are at another meeting as we speak, so we should all be cloned, I guess, tonight. Anyway.
Sleep well later.
Which, well, Eric is putting things together. Do you have any closing remarks you'd like to put forward?
Aspects. I do like having that relationship with the senior center. The kids have thrived from it. And, the only difficult part is the kids would soon, they just as soon skip school and go serve lunch at the senior center. And I tell them, you can't, I'm sorry. So, and many of my students, especially the ones who haven't necessarily been in trouble, but they want to get involved and they want to help out. And maybe they have done some risky things. And so it's just been awesome. From just setting the luncheons to helping at the pancake breakfast and doing some cleaning and raking. And
Raking,
it's been
yeah.
really awesome. And so I do want to continue working with that joint where, a lot of kids just want to help. They
well, it's a
wanna get
win-win
involved.
situation, I think.
Absolutely. Yep.
So that's wonderful to hear. We just also too have had, been working some with the Congregational Church, and, they have a spaghetti fundraiser coming up. And, again, trying to just hide the kids, always trying to get them to get involved. And some of the kids, it's amazing. Like, I have one boy in 8th grade, and he's just like, he came in today, he's like, what else can I do? I'm like, well, let me think. Maybe you can serve spaghetti Saturday.
Well, they feel important.
Oh, yeah.
It's nice to follow, too, because we still are in touch with Chrissy. We see Chrissy all the time, and, she feels very comfortable, I think, in talking with us and telling us about what she's doing, and so that's a great thing, too, to see.
I think it was very powerful for her to come in and say where she came from, what she did, and how she was able to turn herself around because of Youth Assistance Program. That was a very powerful experience for us as a Budget Committee and the Selectmen. And then to see it every day, just blossoming, right, she's in a business downtown. I mean, you see it every day.
Right.
It's like with our community service people, probably 1 out of 5 or 6 really end up making it, but that one that makes it comes back and lets you know that they've made it, and that's a good feeling. That's a real good feeling, and, and that's why we have those programs. So,
Eric, anything?
Just answer my own self-question right there. So you're going from servicing 116 to 154. What do you contribute? The big jump?
But the big jump is 116 is when I handed in the year to date.
Oh, to date, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it is pretty regular,
Yeah.
especially with the prevention and the outreach, and then the caseload. So it is pretty regular. I mean, I see more cases, during the school year. One of the things I failed to mention, which I think is really awesome, is I now have some Wednesday time scheduled at the middle school. So there, I'm able to touch base with kids. I can invite them down. Some of them will need to come to my office, but I'm there on Wednesdays. So that's really, really nice. I had my own little office, well, for Wednesday mornings, and it's kind of changed now here and there. But it is, and I think because I'm there, the kids do get to know me more,
Scott, you get the last word.
Well, I'd just like to say, as usual, we always appreciate the support that the town of Tilton gives to this program, and, well, both towns, but specifically tonight to the town of Tilton, because it's an important program. And I know I'm singing to the choir when I say we invest in our young people, and I'd rather see them here than where I see them on a larger scale. And the time has come where these programs are expressly important, especially from a prevention side. So thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you,
The
appreciate it.
committee, any further questions? If not, thank you for coming. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Bob.
Nice to see
Appreciate
you
it.
all.
So-
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Scott, I'll call when we tour that church.
Jim, are you all set?
I was wondering if you could have maybe 2 or 3 minutes for my program director to show off.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in no rush. Okay.
Is that possible?
Yes. We're in never rush.
Thank you very much.
Timothy and Pat, now that we have a quorum, can we talk about the updated municipal stuff?
Yeah, this is the second time you've seen this. The only thing I would really draw your attention to is the last page that I sent, which shows all the revolving funds, capital reserve funds. You all have that?
Those are on your computer. Tim sent it by,
I have some extra copies.
Which budget was that?
Title of it.
It's the financial summary.
October.
Thank you. The one sent on November
So
10th.
it's on the last.
No, he revised it today.
I didn't get
I
that
just
one.
made a correction. I didn't email it.
Yes, November 10th,
A small
Eric.
So in any event, on this page, you'll see all the other funds that are available for various projects. We do maintain a separate grants and donations fund, so that as people donate money to the town and the selectmen accept that money, and it's restricted for a particular purpose, then it's set aside in this fund specifically for that purpose. When it's expended, the people that are involved in whichever program it pertains to provide the standard invoices and documentation we use. The selectmen approve the manifest that it's on, and so it goes through our entire financial internal controls process. But this is, but these are various things. I've grouped them by department, so you can see there's some IT money that was specific to a particular purpose that was from MetroCast. The police, there are several there. The bike program that they raise money for, dog chip readers, welfare, there's general assistance, eating, and then also there was a small program for people to be able to get their GED diploma. So, but you can see the rest of these. But I'm going to try to include this in each monthly report so you can see not only where the grants and donations are, but you can see where our other funds are. The Conservation Commission with their land use change fund, which 100% of the land use change tax goes into this particular fund. There's also an easement monitoring fund, which is a small planning board account. And then you can see our capital reserve funds that are voted on at each town meeting. Those are at the bottom as well. The revolving funds themselves, we have a recreation revolving fund that really the Parks Commission hasn't, I can't say they've spent a lot of time promoting, but they've still been able to collect some money into that. Originally, it was intended so that they could generate advertising at the 132 ball field.
Wasn't that like
and have that advertising money go
$45,000?
into that particular revolving fund. The police detail revolving fund is doing
Recreation
very well.
revolving fund.
We have more than enough money to purchase or to pay for the 2016 lease payment for the police vehicle we acquired last year, and that's the second of 3 payments. And it's really chugging along. These figures here are as the end of October, and they've been continuing to do a big business in that. The recycling revolving fund, even though it's showing a negative balance there, this is an issue of timing of payments. All the bag revenues are collected by our bag vendor, Waste Zero, and then we receive 1 transfer a month. So sometimes there's it's just a timing issue, but we received a payment in excess of what this amount here is for the deficit. So in any event, that kind of gives you the revolving funds and capital reserve plans in a nutshell, but you'll see that on each monthly.
I also want to thank you for the memo from the town garage on the cruiser repairs and costs.
Yes, yep, yeah. It's not a perfect way that we track those. We try to track the internal service cost of what we're spending for those repairs through the highway garage, so that if there were ever a time where we were spending in excess of what someone might think we would spend by going to a car dealership or an auto repair place, it gives us something to compare to, and you can see individually what kind of service is done. You can also see the mileage, and most of our police vehicles have the idle hours for the engine as well as running hours, or the elapsed time for the engine as well. So you get a lot of statistics as well. The number one thing that they do to the vehicles is preventative maintenance, changing the oil, brake pads, checking the fluids, making sure the tires are inflated. That is by far the most common.
Pat, is there anything you'd like to add?
No.
I would recommend to the committee that if you have any questions, that we hold those questions to our next meeting. Or Tim, you're going to be at our next meeting?
Happy to.
Okay. That way you can go home, sir.
Is there a choice to that question?
Yes, you do have a choice. All right. Would you like to go home?
No, that's fine. No, I just,
Well, if you're going to stick around, we'll ask more questions.
well, no, I know you had put off questions from the last meeting, or last 2 meetings.
We're very good at that. Don't take away our skills.
Feel free to
Pat, I tried.
or directly to me, let me.
I tried. Jim,
We're ready.
you are ready. Come on up. All righty. Bring everyone you want. Come on up. They're welcome. And if you don't want to sit up at the table, why don't you fill right in front here, so if Jim can look back and say, "Help me, please." Oh, no.
I've done this 5 times, I'm not afraid.
I know. This is a good thing.
You're not scaring me.
Welcome.
Hi.
Okay, we are meeting with the Pines. We are calling it the Pines still, are we not? Things changed drastically around everything. Would you please introduce yourselves so that we have you on camera? I love camera. And for members of the committee.
Good evening. My name is James Stone. I'm the Executive Director of the Pines Community Center and the Tilton Northfield Recreation Council.
And I am Brittany Stewart, and I am the Recreation Director.
And Jim, your supporters, would you like to?
I would like them to stand up and
Absolutely.
please introduce themselves. No, I'm just...
I'm Scott Haskins, Vice President of the association.
Excellent.
Rosemary Welch, President.
There you go.
Severin Hart. Lori Tilton, Secretary.
The next thing I would ask, we're going to introduce the board. We need to have you sign in because of all these wonderful regulations in life now. So the heck with them. And then, if you really want to get back at your board, you can pass the clipboard back to them and have them sign it, so you can be, starting with Christine.
He already said my name. It's Christine. How are you?
How you doing, Christine?
Eric Pyra?
Wayne.
Jane?
Pat Constantino?
Pat is here to represent both the Budget Committee and the Select Board. Okay, Jim, who's going to start? You.
Gonna start?
Who's going to start?
Well, I'd be happy to start.
There you go, sir.
Thank you as well. First of all, thanks for having us again. And I also wanted to say how much I appreciated last year's process and how things went at the town meeting, and the amount of work that you all put into this was outstanding, and I really appreciated the questions. And it's really good to see what kind of support we've been getting from the two communities that give us funding. So, starting there, thanks again for having us back this year, and we'll try and do our best to answer the questions. I think you're going to see a little bit different approach this year than you've seen in the past 5 years, because we're not asking for any increase whatsoever, so I think this is going to be a little different that way. But for the most part, the council got together quite a few months ago, and that's the hard part about this, because the numbers, of course, have changed in the last few months. But the council got together, and then we had our our budget meeting, and then we got back together again, and their recommendation was what you're seeing. And it was unanimous, as far as I can remember, and we did our part again. So I wish I could come up with something in terms of numbers that's really new or, different than I have in the last couple of years, but I can't. So there's only a couple things I'd highlight to keep this brief. I mean, I could get into real particulars, but I'll try not to. And things that have changed a little bit, and maybe, hopefully, that answers a couple of questions of why you're seeing the numbers where they are. And the first thing is, in our program, which is one of our income lines, we've seen a fairly significant increase in our summer camp income, which we haven't had. It's been kind of like a yo-yo, but we're seeing that go up, and that's something that really helped us when it came to our expense side also. It also showed up there in 2015. I'll have the final, numbers in a month and a half, but I've got a pretty good handle that we actually, despite all the scholarship money and youth assistance money, we actually did really well in our summer program, which, as you all know, is the biggest thing we do over there. So that was great. So that changed the numbers a little bit. And the other thing that I saw that I thought was worth mentioning was that we're finding that our building costs and the cost to maintain a 20-year-old building are starting to hit us. So last year we put more money in that account, and this year we dropped it a little bit, but we're still keeping that a little bit higher. And the reason is because things are starting to go over there, and they're not cheap things. And eventually we're going to try and partner with the town of Northfield with a municipal type grant to try and do something with a fire suppression system. That's one of our big ones. So there's some issues, sure, like every organization has, but I think this year we can handle it, and I don't think we need to ask for any more than we have. In a nutshell, that's about the only changes that I see on the sheets that you get that, stand out to me, but I'm sure you've all seen some things that maybe look a little different than the previous 2 years. So.
And I also want to thank you for your patience last year, especially around the forms. Sometimes us old dogs have a hard time. We're used to a form, and thank you for providing that. Now I want to say, we'll get to the worker, the person who actually does the work.
Exactly.
What would you like to say? Oh, scared the living bejesus out of it. What's going on? That's
You're an old
good.
pro too, aren't you?
Oh, yes. No, I mean, I've seen as Jim said, I mean, thank you all for last year, your support. And it's awesome.
Could you tell us a little bit about what programs are going on and how they're being, the reception from
I mean,
clients?
we have our, year-long, the school year programs. I mean, you have your after-school, before-school program, which are both at capacity, so that's great, and even with wait lists. Obviously, we just finished up with our fall sports. We have soccer, field hockey. Moving into winter, we have basketball, which is about to start up. We'll have dance classes starting in the new year, archery in the new year, adult dance as well, and then ongoing a little bit of line dance. And obviously we have adult groups moving over too, so.
Good. What do you think about lacrosse?
Lacrosse?
They're just starting it at the high school.
Starting at the high school? Yeah.
JV and varsity.
I've heard a lot of good things about it. I mean, not sure if there are a lot of youth programs around here, but,
Now comes the fun part, Jim. Does any of the entourage have anything they'd like to say in support? See how I turned that right around and the pressure's on them now?
We do have a chili fest we're working on coming up, a macaroni and cheese festival in the springtime, just to get different people in the Pines and, having a little aspect of like a cook-off type of deal, and people go and
Oh, that's fun.
different
Yes.
macaroni and cheese, so hopefully that's a good amount of people that come in. And in the fall, it's too late now, but next fall, hopefully like a chili fest.
Our fire department usually wins
I know.
first or second place with macaroni and cheese.
We won't count them in. Because I want to win the trophy myself.
Now, if you get your chili, that's where I am.
Yeah, I know.
I love a chili cook-off.
I like sampling chili.
Yes.
I would benefit from that as well.
Good.
So we're working on that.
Super. Chris, get ready for questions.
I am.
Christine?
I'm the newest member of the budget committee, so it says you talk about youth programs. What kind of age groups are you looking at?
I mean, we have all sorts. We have programs for pre-K, programs for K through 5, and then we have programs for youth. So, and obviously we do offer programming for adults as well.
And it's all on this website here, PinesCommunityCenter.com?
Yep, that gives the basic summary of most of the programming. We do have Facebook, which we utilize a lot, which has a lot of our information, but usually what will happen is we have a newsletter that comes out bi-monthly, sometimes even monthly, depends on what we have going on, and that gets posted on our website as well. So that will have information on what we have going on, what's coming up, and that kind of stuff. But yeah, we use Facebook a lot to advertise the programs and stuff.
We do post their newsletter on our town website, too.
Oh, good, okay. I looked at the numbers and, the year ends, I saw December, the numbers didn't really fluctuate much for the projected budget, so I don't have any questions.
Eric? You mentioned scholarships. How many Tilton residents received scholarships, and what was the value of them?
Final. In fact, I just did this yesterday, so it's very accurate. It was a total of $8,135 worth of both financial aid and scholarships. And if you want that broken down, it was a little over $5,000 in financial aid, which means like a partial, whatever. And then $3,025 was the full boat scholarships. Out of that total, $1,635 went to residents of Tilton, and $6,500 went to residents of Northfield. So we've seen a shift, because in the previous 3 or 4 years, it's been the other way around. Now, we've also gone to a whole new program, so we initiated that a year and a half ago. Now, I'm not quite sure if that had any influence at all, but I think probably, to try and dissect that number, I would say that it's probably because the numbers are disproportionate. So you have a larger amount of registrations coming from the town of Northfield than you do Tilton. And I'm not saying that that's just a factor, I'm not saying that's the only factor. But out of the money that was given to the residents of the town of Tilton, at $1635, anybody who asked from the town of Tilton, other than one person who didn't follow up with her particular situation, everybody was awarded what they asked for. Okay, so that figure would have changed if I got more applications from the town of Tilton.
Interesting.
So I hope that clarifies how that went, but I think one of the neat things about this, and I got to get this out, is we've now raised over $50,000 for that fund in the past, since we did it in 2011. I believe we started in November. Majority is grant money, but there's been some individuals and businesses that have put money into that also. So that's been substantial, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, for the size of the operation that we do. And to be able to give that kind of assistance to, the kids that can't afford it, the families that can't afford it, has been probably one of the best parts of my job. And I have a lot of best parts, but that's probably rates right up there in the top 2 or 3.
Eric, anything else?
Sorry, I can't see. You said it was proportionally higher for Northfield in retrospect, but, so 425 residents of Tilton were served by you. How many were from Northfield? Just for proportionate numbers.
I'm going to Northfield tomorrow night, so there's that one too.
Seems like everybody's going there tomorrow night.
Yeah, we got a lot of them. And I hope I can leave it in my Northfield folder.
I'm not.
Oh, I am.
All right, so I'm just-
I can go yell at their board.
511.
Thank you. You'll have a breakdown of what that 1635, how many actual,
No, I can get that for you, no problem, but
would it be 10, 15?
1635, I can guess, yeah, because they're not all full, I would say between 10 and 15.
I don't need an exact number, but just an appropriation, I guess, is the right thing. Right now, I'm good. For now.
Okay.
Thank you.
All I would say is I want to thank you also for this last winter. I know there are many days that school got canceled or derailed, and you were gracious enough to make sure that the Pine Center was open, so parents could bring children over to have something for them to do for the day. That's an important part of the community, and it's as good as grant money when that happens, so I have no problems with that. I'm also very impressed that you've raised $50,000 for the scholarships, because I think that's also important. We're not rich towns as we think we are, and there are lots of kids that need help, and that's part of it. No questions, Jane?
Yeah, just for clarification, on the front it says, our prices in 2016 Tilton residents' businesses will increase and remain the same. You've got both. Which is it?
It's going to be both, and the reason that I say that is some of the programs are going to stay the same, and some are going to...
Some will increase.
Some will increase, and you guys don't give me a line for that particular...
Okay, all right.
So what I really should do is circle the whole entire block, because to be totally honest with you, some will decrease too.
And I like it, because then we have to ask the question. I like that. Good job.
Then the next, I have over on your grant money.
Sure.
On the Agnes Lindsay Trust, you showed $2,500 for summer camp trips. But you said you'd gotten around 50,000 for scholarships. What other businesses contributed to the scholarship money?
I don't have that in front of me.
You don't have it? Okay, was it one business, or was it several? Or were they grants, or were they just...
When I,
donations?
they're not grants unless you see them on these
Okay.
forms that you get each year.
Okay.
Okay?
So they're just donations?
Yes.
Okay. And how do you get those? Do you go door to door? Do you
By-
send letters?
By a number of different approaches.
Okay.
Okay, now I'll approach certain businesses. Brittany will do the same thing.
McDonald's, I know you got an award from them because
Yes, we did.
we were there. How much was that?
To be totally honest with you, I believe it was $500, but I didn't list that because it wasn't a grant.
Okay.
It was a donation, which was another line.
Okay.
I believe it was around there, and I could be totally wrong there.
Okay. And how do you stand on, I see you have interior building improvements pending from Lowe's. Any idea of whether that's going to come to fruition? Because I would
No.
think if you, it's not going to.
It's not going to happen. I got an email from the Lowe's Foundation. I think it came in Monday, or maybe on Friday. We were denied for the second year in a row.
That's it?
Have you ever tried the Home Depot Foundation?
I've not. I've been establishing a relationship with Home Depot for other things rather than grants. And it's not that it's something that we're not going to pursue, but it's something that we pursued with Lowe's this time around. Didn't work out. It's time to pursue Home Depot.
We pursue Home Depot on a very different level from, during the year for specific things, donation to flowers or whatever, and we did the Home Depot Foundation for the kitchen bathroom. They put in the floor at the senior center, they put in the cabinets, the toilets, and a sink, and they did the ramp out back from the foundation monies. And so, I mean, it's worth pursuing. But they like the larger project under the foundation. They don't want a smaller project to build a shed, whatever, something like that. They'd like a larger project that's going to, help.
Put in a fire suppression system.
They won't do that,
Yeah,
but they
do
will
that.
do an interior project.
Yeah,
that
because if you
will.
want to do the, completely finish the inside, their Team Depot they'll give you the materials and their employees will do the work, actually do the work. And all you have to do is give them lunch. Yeah.
Macaroni and cheese.
I mean, that really is, that
We
really
did
is a
that.
requirement, that you make them lunch and, or supply lunch for them, and that's what we did, but they worked almost a week.
Yeah.
And it was, they made the difference between opening the senior center and not having the senior center open. They really stepped up. There was a new manager there at the time. He's since gone, but he went to bat for us. We put in the foundation monies. They give it to you in the form of the material, in the form of a card. You purchase the materials, and then they come and install it. I mean, obviously, if you have volunteers to help out with it, that makes it a little bit quicker, but, I mean, they're really good for larger projects like that, as well as Lowe's. I mean, between the two of them, you can't lose, really. Jane answered my question on the improvements portion of it. The other question I had was, what is the percentage of increase on the salaries?
It's about 3.5%. But that's really, in our situation, it's, how do I put this?
I just blurted out.
I can't generalize 3.5% because there's a lot of people who don't get anywhere near 3.5%, okay? Because we've got a lot of part-time people that
So it's the
it doesn't
full-time-
work that way.
These are the full-time people?
If you're looking, yeah, at our major staff, Brittany, myself, Karen, our office manager, Bob Magoon, who does our maintenance, and then some of our top people that we have. I mean, that's where I base it off of anyways, because the rest, they're done by either 25 or 50 cent an hour raises. They're not done by percentages, but when I totaled it, it comes to about 3.5%.
The program expenses is going up.
Certainly is, and that's a direct result of our summer camp. Because you saw an additional, I think this year, if we looked at it really close, I think we saw an additional $9,000 in income. We'll see an additional almost $9,000 in expenses because of that.
Okay. I think that's about it.
Oh, good. Eric, any further questions?
Just one.
Okay, one question, we did this.
The last few years, I mean, you've increased your general fund loss, I guess, in the red ink, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't know if the right word. It looks like 2015, you're going to come out a little on the plus side.
Yeah, we are, and this is another thing that is so different from a municipality. We're a revolving account, so on the 31st of last year, we were $2,800 in the hole. Okay, that's the sheet you're looking at?
Yeah.
On the 1st of last year, we were $10,516 in the plus.
Just like that, huh?
Just like that, because we revolve, and that deposit came in on the 1st.
Yeah. But it goes to the 2015 versus
It goes to
2014.
2015. But, I mean,
It's like
you know,
getting paid on
it does,
the 1st of January and you're
if we wanted,
working 2015.
that's the thing about a revolving account. If we wanted to make that look different, we certainly could. I could have withheld $3,000 worth of bills and paid them after the 1st, and I could have shown a positive. But if we stay on the same track from now till the end of this year, okay, as we did last year, we will end up approximately, and I don't know if something's going to go boom over there, but we're going to end up approximately $6,000 plus, you know, on the 31st of December.
What about, just a follow-up, the capital reserve, are you able to expand that at all, or put it into that, so?
No, that would be a real nice thing. And, you know, a separate warrant article, if somebody wants to stand up there and propose that, I'd love to see that happen, but anyways, on our own, we're not going to see it happen.
For the capital reserve?
What would you say your top 3 needs are at the facility? I think last year the boiler was, you know, being band-aided together. I mean,
One year it was the roof, I know.
the roof, I think, was
Roof was
replaced.
taken care of, and we did some serious septic work.
You guys aren't on sewer over there?
We're on the town sewer, but we've got 3 different chambers and pump outs and an old system that needed some work. But
Oh, well.
neither here nor there. The biggest thing that's facing that building right now is the fire suppression system, number one, because we're developing leaks in that.
So there's one there
big
now,
animal.
there's one there now that needs to be improved and
Eventually, we're going to have
replaced.
to cost that out and figure out how we're going to fix that. That's a big one. I think the fixtures and the plumbing and the flooring, after 20 years, every bit of it could get ripped out and replaced. So it's building needs. It really is. The whole interior of that building really needs some work.
Thank you.
Christine, further questions? Jane, further questions?
Have you tried Kohl's at all for any kind of grants? They have a lot of grant programs geared directly for children, so it might be worth looking. If you go into their website, I think they have a lot of different grants available.
Now, are you talking about the department store?
No,
Yeah.
the department store, on their website.
Yeah,
And where's the nearest store, just out of
Right
curiosity?
here.
right here, right now.
Behind Lowe's.
It's behind those?
Yeah, and the reason I know that,
I'm sorry.
You have to keep
two
it
reasons
straight,
I know that. Number one, we went to them when we were working on the senior center, and it was very explicit in saying, you know, our funding is all given
saw you there,
to
what, last
children's
week?
programs. And then I'm on the budget committee for the school.
I know how it is.
And we've gotten books from them, a book program through them, because they're really interested in expanding their outreach to children in communities.
Nice.
So you might want to try them. I think they have a lot of different programs available.
Yeah, they have everything from books to computers, which would be wonderful over there for like a little study area for after school. Like one of the rooms could be adapted and get the school to,
Funding for children.
yeah, and get the
Lot of
school to provide tutors like you're
Coca-Cola
supposed
is
to.
another
but-
one.
Playgrounds, I know
foundation.
they have stuff for playgrounds, because I noticed that's one of your needs.
Not locally, but their foundation.
And easy further.
That's it.
Best time of the night, folks. Who would like to start wrapping up for final points you'd like to make? There you go, good job. Look at them first. Look at them smile like you're under pressure.
Up to our macaroni and cheese thing.
Okay.
Our Christmas breakfast.
Good. Jim, Brittany,
When is your
anything to
Christmas
add?
breakfast?
December 5th.
Ooh. There's so many things happening on
gonna say,
December 5th.
We have
We're
like
first
3
thing in the
meetings,
morning,
don't we?
so you guys can-
It's our Christmas parade, and there's
We're open 7:30, come.
7:30 in the morning.
30 for breakfast, and then
I'll make a donation. You won't see me 7:30.
Send us an email.
It's not
We'll be
happening.
there. Jim, any final thoughts?
Not really. I'd like to thank you for your time again and having us. I enjoy coming here. At first, it was a little bit
Rocky?
different.
Yeah, we were surly at first.
I thought I was going to be tarred and feathered and run out of this town that first time, but...
We have an ordinance, against feathering.
Tarring, we do though.
Tarring, you said that.
Yeah, we still do that.
The tar plant is still open over on Route 140, so you're...
Well, we had to restrain ourselves because Brittany was with you, and we have limits. Brittany, anything you'd like to add?
thank you all very much.
And hopefully the town meeting will be fun this time around. Thank you both for coming over on this wonderful night.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for showing great support. You're always welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Jim, you've only been there 5 years?
Brittany,
Going on 6?
Would you like
Really?
to sign this?
no, just let him go.
I was just...
You can harass
it
him,
seems like
or you can go
7,
get
8
him.
years that you've been there.
Your choice.
Seems forever.
They are, they know. Have a great evening, folks. Bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, we have a few minutes left over. Always time left over for Tim.
Do you have any questions?
Do you have any questions for Tim or Pat?
Nope. We're at the end of the year. We're almost finished our selectmen's budget.
Good.
We're working on it tomorrow night to wrap it up.
Did you add
We have
chocolate to
not
it?
added, we have not voted on anything yet.
Okay. Now, your presentation will be the select board and the department heads to the budget committee in kind of a round robin.
Yep. However
Thank-
you want to do it.
Okay, good. Christine, any questions for Timothy? Eric, you must have a question. It's always good to watch Tim and Eric to go. And I looked at it, and I didn't even pull any obscure points out, Tim. For once. I like looking at it.
We're ahead of revenues? Is that, am I reading that right?
We are, and in fact, that's going to be one of the challenges for next year. We're not going to have all the same revenues next year, so that's one of the pressure points for the 2016 budget, which you'll see when we get to that stage. But yeah.
Now, I have a question. Maybe this is more ignorance. I was just cruising online yesterday, and I see an article that, and again, this is my ignorance, so help. It says, Tim Pearson's put out a nice explanation sheet, I think it was in the Citizen, on their website, for the tax rate. How can we have a tax rate if we don't know what the budget is?
This is for our 2015 rate. So the rate that we just set, that we're paying now,
Yeah.
that's what that was referring to. And I have to say, I was surprised to see the length of that article, because...
Yeah, me too. I read the whole thing, so...
The fellow called me and asked if, left a voicemail asking if the town set a tax rate. And I was calling him back to let him know that, yes, it's on the website and, all the details are there. And he said, oh, he said, I had a intern last year, a 23-year-old, call around all the towns, and he told me about you. Because he said he never understood the tax rate until he read that guide. And so then he asked me, he said, would you mind if I quoted that guide? I said, well, it's out there. I mean, use it however you like. So Tim Pearson said, Tim Pearson. It never occurred on the phone, but he had drawn that out of that guide. But it's real, and some other towns have asked to use that in past years, and I haven't had any problem with it. But it really boils it down to understanding how we not only appropriate and budget, but how we pay for things, and how the equalized value of the town comes into play in the tax rate too. So, but in any case, that all came from that tax rate document that I do each year that's on the website. So it wasn't me talking to him and him interviewing me as it appeared from the article. So no one was more surprised than I was when I saw that, and I was like, oh my gosh. There's some literary license.
Anything further?
I'm sure.
But that 2015 rate, though, that will also be our first bill for 2016, because the first bill is always an estimate.
So, the Tilton, maybe I'm not remembering what it was, but we're just a little over budget on the Tilton Police Department building improvements by about 659%.
Yes, yeah. There have been some projects. We've had some personnel changes this year that for the town caused there to be more money available through year end. And one of the items that was in serious need of repair at the PD parking lot. There were cracks, there were trip hazards, people going not only in and up the ramp, but there was uneven pavement, and it was getting worse and worse. So that was charged to the police department, the building improvements. But the budget had a $1 in there, and the purpose for having a line with $1 is so that the town can spend money towards something. So obviously it really throws the expenditures out of whack. The other thing that we did was we had an opportunity to trade our 2011 Expedition for a 2016 Police Interceptor. The Expedition was purchased when we had all Crown Vics, and we didn't have any of the all-wheel drive Police Interceptors, but it was not pursuit rated, and it wasn't being used how it was originally thought that it would be used. So there was still significant value in that. We were able to purchase a new vehicle under warranty, 3-year warranty, for about $11,000 difference, and that's in the equipment purchase line. So you'll see a similar expense in that line where it's overspent.
The last one.
Sure.
Again, it's just more process for me. We have a budget of just over $5 million next year. And let's just say, through good management, we only spent $4.5 million. What happens to that other $500,000?
Well, typically that would go into the unreserved fund balance, or unassigned fund balance.
And is that what the money comes from when you see like the selectmen put money back in to help?
That's correct.
Okay.
In 2007, we actually had a negative fund balance of about $1,100. We were able to build that up over the years to about $1.1 million. And given the last few years, the difficulties of revenues and some expenses that we had, that's down in the $600,000 range. But it's well within the acceptable range that the Government Finance Officers Association has a target rate. It's not anything that any town has to stick to, but it's something that DRA promotes, and we're well within the minimum range.
Any other big surprises coming our way, you think?
There are a few other expenditures this year. and one of which is an impound lot at the highway garage, which is thought to be, it'll be around $17,000 by the time it's done. We started to see some of those expenses come in this week. And the purpose of that is, there's a ruling where a police department has to keep evidence until the case is resolved. In the past, they could take the evidence, return it to the owner, and take a photograph of it, and the photograph would be introduced in the court process. But now they're required to keep a large amount of evidence until the case is resolved. So we have everything from a trailer chipper, that is pulled behind a truck, to there have been four-wheelers, all sorts of construction equipment, I think a jet ski, all sorts of things that there's just no place to put this stuff. So, in fact, until this last week, the Sally Port at the PD was taken, the entire thing was taken up with evidence. And so this impound lot, what this does for us is it allows larger items to be stored securely. So there'll be a chain link fence and that sort of thing. It'll be under surveillance, our camera system is at the Public Works garage. And then there's a trailer that will house things that can't be left out in the elements. And generally speaking, when there's a vehicle that is brought in for evidence processing, it's generally brought into the Sally Port first. But then they've actually had times when they've had numerous vehicles, and they've had to keep them out in the parking lot, roped off. So this really solves a problem for them. But in any case, that's about $17,000. Outside of that, there's a few other smaller items that the selectmen are looking at. And I've kept track of these things as well as encumbrances, which encumbrances are items that we can contract for this year. And that money will carry over into 2016, so we don't have to raise and appropriate it again. But we're looking very closely at that, and I'm also trying to keep an eye towards if we can end up better off than, if we end up in a better situation and we don't have the entire $240,000 of fund balance being used, so if we have $50,000 after these other items are spent, then, we'll be looking at only reducing our fund balance by $190,000. So you get the idea. So I'm projecting it's going to be hopefully a little bit better than that. But it just depends on what projects are approved and where we end up. So, and this is the focal point right now. These last 6 weeks, I'm just laser focused on really tracking everything that's going on, so I can be sure I know what's coming down the pike, and I can better forecast where we're going to end up.
There are two other expenditures that we just approved. One is replacing the roof on the outbuilding at the senior center. There are several water leaks throughout the building.
I saw that on video.
And that's being replaced by the end of November. That went out to bid, and Dan Chapman will be doing that. The other one is, it goes along with the impound lot. They've been renting a trailer for file storage that has to be by law kept under lock and key. And so we built a room downstairs here at Town Hall so that we could store the file cabinets and the paper that needs to be stored. It's 3/4 of the way full already. This week they finished it up, and so we won't be renting the trailer for storage now.
Well, won't we have a trailer down there that we have to put stuff into?
No, not that I know of.
I think that's, they're looking at that right now.
It may have to.
Yeah, so we're also looking at what we can purchase a container for that, usually they can be purchased for around
Instead of renting it.
$3,000 to $4,000, depending upon the quality. But there are some things that
That hasn't come before the board yet.
Right. There's some things
Surprise!
that can be left out in the elements.
No, good. Eric, anything else?
Well, I think we're ready for winter in the highway department. Good with sand and...
Yeah, they just ordered 2 things of salt. They just got salt in. They just got sand in.
Yep, that's good inventory. Yep.
They're stocked up in the inventory, they've done all the plows. Right now, they're working on getting all of the leaves up because of the weather that we've had. They've got to pick up the benches and the island and put the Christmas lights up. They're buttoning up some winterization on different buildings and parks. And we should be good to go for winter.
What about the skating rink?
Highway will be putting up the skating rink this year.
Who will?
Highway Department.
Who's going to maintain it? Highway? Or still parks?
If it's,
Or volunteers? Or
you mean shoveling it? It'll be the Parks Commission.
Okay.
Yes, but if it's
Oh, we could, yeah.
broken or something, yeah, up there,
All set,
yeah.
Eric?
I'm good for now.
I want to congratulate both the town and the select board for the 3 projects that were completed that look good. Parking lot at the police department looks fabulous. It's something they've needed for a while, and it turned out okay. Came in with the monies within the budget. Cannon Bridge came off with a minor problem, but other than that, it was pretty good. Kudos. Excuse me. And the conservation land.
Yeah, that's
The
very
park
neat.
looks good. So those 3 projects were done. None of the money had to come from any other sources, and they look good. So kudos to the town and the select board. Jane? Okay, let's do some final business so we can get out of here. Please look at the budget, the meeting minutes of November 4th. Also look in your packet because we now have Joanna the Parks budget draft. You also should have gotten on your computer, the conservation budget and the budget from, I'm forgetting who it was.
Moderator.
Moderator's budget. Please take a look at those. Oh, we even got it here, thank you.
The issue is we have 4 elections in 2016.
Yes, I know, isn't it amazing?
You have primary, spring elections.
Yep.
Oh, is there something in the fall?
Presidential and then the
Oh, yeah.
Presidential 216, yeah.
Oh. 3 of them are. Wow. First 3 months will be all done. They can rest until November.
So I was finally giving out. Not bad. Too much talking today. What would happen if I did this?
All the speakers.
I suppose I should behave myself. Yes?
I have a question, just in reviewing the notes, and maybe Selectman Constantino can answer this question best of all. The town, the library is going to lose their trash service from the town of Northfield. Is there any way that the town of Tilton can pay for
We're
it?
talking with them now.
It just seems ridiculous to have to,
It's only added cost to the taxpayer.
no, I just didn't know.
It's an added cost to the taxpayer if they're forced to go out and do that.
I mean, they'd have to get it's going to cost them a couple, $6,000 a year. That was just a thought that I thought of when I reviewing the notes. It made me think of it, so.
Okay, any additions, subtractions, or alterations to the meeting minutes of the November 4th meeting? If none, I will entertain a motion to accept the meetings. Jane Alden moves. Second from Eric. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Jane, would you like to give the most important motion of the evening?
To adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Non-debatable motion? All those in favor say aye. Have a great evening, folks. Now, are we meeting next week? We are not meeting next week.
Thanksgiving
Because guess
Eve.
what? It's Thanksgiving week. So I will be seeing you the week after.
Same bat time, same bat place.